So I want to talk to you about feeder cells. Now, if you're in the terrorist network environment or the Secret Service, when you hear the term feeder cells, you think about terrorists, right? People who are or cells or groups of people, individuals who are being trained and groomed to become terrorists. So it's like a pipeline, so to speak. No, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about feeder cells with regards to conditions or diseases that can lead to dementia. And there's really a straight path to dementia from that. Primarily for conditions that make the brain more vulnerable to damage and to deterioration as time goes on. And what we now know about dementia, especially Alzheimer's disease, is a progressive damage to the brain and dysfunction, damage and dysfunction that eventually leads to the critical mass or a critical stage in which the brain says, that's it, I'm done. And the brain really starts shutting itself down. That's what most people don't realize. But a certain aspect, a certain percentage of what we see known as dementia, especially Alzheimer's disease, is as a result of the brain itself working, shall we say, against itself and shutting itself down. And we're going to talk about that in detail in other videos. But that's really what Alzheimer's is. It's a shutting down, pulling back of the synapses. Now, back to feeder cells. So things like hypertension, chronic hypertension, especially in middle age, untreated chronic hypertension, untreated high blood sugar levels, or which of course leads to diabetes. Things like untreated hearing loss. Yes, untreated hearing loss and untreated loss of smell can also lead to that. And of course, if you've had trauma, especially from childhood, most people think that when you've had trauma in childhood or even early adulthood, and it's usually over, but that's not so at all. These things, they continue to trigger even decades later. They continue to trigger certain things in the brain. Inflammation, neuroinflammation is one of them, that eventually can cause breakdown of the brain, especially when you add other things like hypertension and other stressors and high blood sugar or an autoimmune condition, which, by the way, is another feeder cell. If people have an autoimmune condition which is not well managed, or if it's managed and the drugs themselves can cause problems, so the management of the condition as well as the drugs used to treat the condition can actually further make the brain more vulnerable or make the brain weaker and make it more vulnerable to dementia. Anyway, the point of this short discussion is that you don't want to take these things for granted. If you have hypertension, if you don't know if you have hypertension, if you don't know if your blood sugar is high, go check it. And while you're checking it, if you can, check your blood insulin levels and your vitamin D levels. These are all very, very important. So the point is to ensure that your disease condition is very well managed from an early stage so that you don't become a statistic. You don't become one of the feeder cells to dementia that's adding to this huge, huge, huge number of cases of dementia, not just in the US, but all over the world. That's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye.